Hey, welcome to the Fanzeal Sports Week in Review. Usually at 5 o'clock on Fridays, we come to you Pacific time, Los Angeles time, with about a half hour. But the week has been so crazy with so much stuff, with NFL free agency, with insane stuff going on in the basketball world, LeBron, Kobe, the Spurs, Golden State, and of course, baseball's in spring training, and you got old guys like Goose Gossage calling guys like Jose Batista, ashamed of the game. I like your bright. You recognizing or repping the W. Bryce Harper had some things to say this week. I like how that went. But first, Brandon's going to start us off with a little music so we can kind of get into our weekend. Give it a little love, or not.
Can you hear me?
A little slow. All right. Well, we'll get back to that. Anyhow, I'm Justin Simon. That is Brandon Boykin. We are here on the Fanzeal Sports Week in Review, fanzeal.com. Make sure you go and sign up. Every Monday, you get the funniest newsletter in sports. And, of course, you also get one of the things we love most, exclusive deals with athletes as they give you access to not only them, but product and things you can't get anywhere else. So it's all in all a great place to go. Check us out at fanzeal.com. Or go on Twitter at Fanzeal and send us a note. So anyhow, Brandon Boykin and I will be here for the next 45 minutes to an hour. We have a lot to talk about. Brandon, I want to start out with the city of Cleveland because the city of Cleveland right now is a mess. It's just an absolute mess. So let's start on the hardwood because you believe that this time next year, and obviously much earlier than that LeBron James is not playing in a Cavaliers jersey.
Yes, I think that is a very, very real possibility. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, no, it'll never happen. He can't do it again, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you something. After playing in Miami and playing on championship caliber teams, LeBron has a taste of the gold. He knows what he wants. He wants it badly. He's not having fun in Cleveland. No. You look at him out there, he's expecting more of these guys than what they really can offer. The guys have talent, but they don't have championship pedigree, I don't think, in his eyes.
And they don't have that winner mentality in Cleveland. Not to say the city doesn't, although you could argue the city doesn't. But that team specifically, there's nobody taking you by the throat. There's nobody that says, all right, we're going to come into your house. I was reading an interesting article, and if you haven't read the Rick Riley article in Sports Illustrated over the last couple of weeks on Golden State, Rick Riley's back with Sports Illustrated, and if you grew up, liking sports in the late '80s and early '90s, that's a big deal for you. And he actually, by the way, he lives out here now. He's a South Bayer. Splits his time between here and Denver. But I was driving to work not so long ago. I said, "Wow, that's amazing. That guy looks like Rick Riley." And I got online, I Googled Rick Riley and it said he lives in Hermosa Beach, California. And I said, well, that is Rick Riley. So he's a local to both Brandon Boykin and I. But he has an interesting – he was comparing this year's Golden State team with those great Bulls teams. And he said these guys like to have fun. But the Bulls teams went in to rip your throat out. They went in. They didn't want you to breathe. They didn't want you to feel like you had a chance. They didn't want it to be close. They didn't want competition. They went in to stomp you. And to me, that's always kind of been Eastern Conference basketball, right? You have Detroit and Philly and the Knicks, and when Miami was dirty, these guys, and certainly Larry and Kevin and Parrish, they could throw an elbow back in the old Celtics days. So you had these teams, right? And even though they weren't very good, don't forget Bernard King, and on the Bullets before they became the Wizards.
The real king.
The Eastern Conference has a history of just toughness. And this Cleveland team doesn't have it.
No.
At all. Anyway.
No. Well, and this is the problem with a lot of the media and social networking and with a lot of just sports in general today. Everyone today is a victim of they're a victim of the moment. Everyone is caught up in the name. But the name is not always what's gonna get it done. You have to have guys that know their role, that want to do their role, do their job. They go in there, they handle their business, lunch pail attitude, and they get it done for one common goal for the team. Now, LeBron's been sending out all these little subliminal tweets, and supposedly they're really not to his teammates, but they really are. If you really break it down,
of course they are. I mean, it's not even that, it's not even pretend. It's like you might as well say, hey, Kevin Love, I'm talking to you right now. Hey, Kyrie, we can't get on the same page. Hey, Tyrone, little man, let's coach a game here, pal.
Well, and this is the big issue that I see with LeBron, and this is why I could possibly see him leaving. Because I know for everyone, most people out there, a la LeBron bandwagoners, whatnot, they think this is like a unicorn. It's a myth. It's not going to happen. It's Bigfoot, yada yada. No, this is why it's going to happen. Everything that's happening in Cleveland has been LeBron's doing. When he left, Dan Gilbert wrote the scathing letter about, we're glad he left. The inmates are running the asylum, blah blah blah, and that he wasn't going to cater to LeBron. Look at this team and look at how this team is devised and how the team is built. Look at who's coaching this team. Look at how all the things that have taken place as far as Black getting replaced, some personnel moves. You trade the number one pick for Kevin Love. Now you look back on that trade. Now, would you have done that against the Love trade?
Absolutely not.
Especially considering what you're paying Love now, and for the production that he's giving you is the same thing that you can get from Channing Frye, who
nope, no way.
Channing Frye, I didn't realize he didn't have his AARP card yet. But
by the way, Channing Frye's playing well. I mean, let's take out the fact that if you're relying on Channing Frye to play well, you've already lost. But Channing Frye's playing well.
Well, Channing Frye's playing with LeBron, and I mean, dude, you and I could get out there, and if we're the fifth man on that team, we can hit an open jump shot. If you're in the NBA, you should be able to hit an uncontested 25-foot jump shot. If you played a few years of college ball and you're a 10-year NBA pro. I'm sorry.
All right, how about an uncontested 15-footer? Because not everybody's going to hit from 25.
Well, no, but Channing Frye's MO coming out of college, distant shooter. What did he make his rep and his name on in Phoenix? Being a distant shooter. So that's what he's coming in to do. The guy's going to come in there and get you 8 boards a game, knock down a couple of uncontested threes. Okay, that's what Kevin Love is giving you. You're paying one guy, $4 million a year, and the other guy $20. Secondly, everything that's happening there and what they're missing in comparison to Miami, because LeBron is longing for Miami. Otherwise, he wouldn't happen to have randomly gone down to Miami to work out. And, Dwayne Wade, hey, buddy, what's going on, dude? Haven't talked to you for a while. Yeah, right. He missed the structure. They had Pat Riley running the ship. He was basically down there to be the star on this team, get everyone in order, and everyone else is going to do their job. You be the king. You be great. And that's what sold him. That's what made him. That's what made them champions. He's trying to duplicate that and be the wizard to conjure everything up and bring it all together. Everyone knows LeBron is running that team in that front office. And where's it getting them? It's getting them
nowhere.
It's getting them an empty trip to the finals because the other two stars that you have can't make it. They've never made it past the playoffs. They've never made it to the playoffs. So you don't even.
Well, and I got to tell you, I'm not one of those people who believes that these guys are going to walk into the finals. There are such chemistry issues on this squad. There are such a disagreement about the way to play the game. They don't seem to come out strong. Too many times when the lights are on, this could go awry. And if that happens, look, LeBron's playoff tested. And they got a couple backbench veteran guys who shouldn't be in the rotation but might make it come playoff time. I just don't think that this team comes out of the East. And I know that there's not a lot of great teams in the East, but there's challenges and there's teams that are going to want to knock this team off. And in a 7-game series, could they do it? I actually think yes.
Yeah, I still think Cleveland. The East is theirs for the taking. I do see it being a challenge. I don't see them walking to the playoffs. I don't see anybody walking to the playoffs this year, even Golden State. They're going to
because they're going to have to go through OKC, which is going to be no walk, or the Spurs, who, by the way, are putting up the quietest, 55-10 season in history.
Oh, if Golden State wasn't doing what they're doing, everyone would be marveling at the Spurs. How are these guys even still walking and doing this? And the thing is, because they've rebuilt that team, And they've got a younger nucleus now that can contend and keep them in the contender spot and keep their window open for another 4 to 5 years minimum. Cleveland doesn't have that issue. They don't have that luxury. The real contenders are pretty much Golden State, San Antonio, OKC maybe, and then you can throw Cleveland, the Clippers in there just to let's just be nice,
Right.
But it's really coming down to the Spurs and Golden State, and everyone knows that.
Would you be stunned? Stunned is really the word I'm looking for. Instead of just surprised, but I mean, would you? If somebody like Toronto or Boston got out of the East?
No. I would be more surprised if it was Boston because I just don't see them having that one guy that really is going to cause everyone to gel and kind of stand up and be the leader for that team. I see them as it's a good system. Their system is what's doing it. And until they get a star player, I just don't see them having enough to really push over the hump. Toronto has got a lot of good, gritty players. And because they're north of the border, they really don't get the shine down here or the attention that they really should. Kyle Lowry is a great point guard.
Great player.
DeMar DeRozan, solid. LA kid,
yep.
Potentially could come to the Lakers, free agent. Terrence Ross is a very nice set of piece. They've just got, and they know how to play defense up there. They know how to play together. So I see Toronto giving Cleveland a major test, and it's going to come down to who has home court. Now, if Toronto can
start I want to come back though. I'm gonna cut you off because I do want to come back to playoffs. But before we get too far down the playoff road, if we started with the concept of LeBron won't be in Cleveland this time next year. So if he's not in Cleveland, is Miami his only destination?
Nope.
Where does he go?
I could see him potentially. I could see Miami for one last ride off into the sunset with Dwayne Wade. He's still got guys down there, and Miami's got pieces. If Miami re-signs Whiteside, even if they don't, they've got Winslow. They've got help they've got a team that they can really build around LeBron and another cast. Another option, and this is something that some people may poo-poo the idea. Some people may think it's out of the blue. The Clippers, which I think is very real. Yes.
Hold on. I have to do my.
Yes.
Again, just in case we missed it.
Hold your neck, sir. Let me tell you how. Let me tell you how this breaks down.
I'm gonna need a breakdown. I'm gonna need a financial breakdown. I'm gonna need a team breakdown.
Okay. Well,
but let's see what you got.
Well, LeBron's on a 1-year deal. He can opt out next year.
Right. And Cleveland can pay him more money than anybody else, but it doesn't matter because he's got the bazillion dollars from Nike. So money from his team is the least of his concerns.
Exactly. He can go to the Clippers, and they can outright sign him, move some pieces around, a la Jeff Green, a couple other guys. Jeff Green is one of the major guys that I know makes about $9 million. They've got a few other pieces they can move. If you got LeBron, you're going to make a space for him. If worse comes to worse, offer them a package of Blake Griffin. Who's going to sneeze at that? I don't think Cleveland can afford, if they think that there's a legit shot that he's unhappy, that he's going to bounce, you think that they don't take that package right now? Okay, that's one piece. Chris Paul, best friend. Chris Paul's in the banana boat with him and Dwayne Wade and Carmelo and the wifeys, and they all vacationing and all goody-goody. LeBron wants to play with CP3. CP3 doesn't have too much tread left on that ride there. He's getting up there. For a guy that's that size doesn't have elite athleticism, but he just has the bulldog in.
What's he got? 3 good years left? 2 good years left?
I'd say 3 good years, three solid years of being productive, all-star level quality. So you want to maximize that. So they're not moving DeAndre. They're not moving Chris Paul. So if you can get him outright, then you slide LeBron into that 3 spot. You've already got Blake, DeAndre, and Chris. And say if you still hold on to J.J. Redick, that's a ridiculous starting 5.
That's a good starting 5.
Okay. Now,
not a lot of defense there, but that's a good starting.
How much defense have they had really? All
I mean, fair enough. Fair enough.
As long as you've got decent perimeter defense, you've got DeAndre there to clog up the paint and to protect the rim. Doc Rivers likes guys that have either played for him or that have played well against him. You think Doc is going to sneeze at the opportunity? Hey, I can sign this dude straight up, bring him in at a starting contract of $22 million. Okay, yeah, we're going to lose maybe Jeff Green and Jamal Crawford and a couple other pieces. Hey, you might even have to part with this kid. If it's my kid versus LeBron, I'm bringing in LeBron because Doc Rivers' job is going to depend on this. Because if the Clippers go out in a flame in the second round, like I think they will this year, like they did last year,
I agree. You know what? It would not surprise me if these guys went out in the first round.
Yeah,
just for what it's worth.
So if they have another early exit like that, remember Doc has all the juice in that front office. He's the GM, president, and the coach. So you got to come with something different next year to the table. Otherwise, people are going to want results. The Clippers haven't signed their TV deal yet. Their TV deal is gonna hinge on a lot of this. Now they could do a 1-year deal, which is going to be a lowball deal by Fox, and then come back next year, potentially move the team up to Seattle. There's money up there.
All right, I'm pausing. We can't even get. We can't. I can't get into the moving the team to Seattle. Too far away.
Just hear me out on that. But that's potential as well. But that being said, all of that could turn that the Clippers are a very real threat to get LeBron, and it wouldn't be that difficult. Remember, everyone's going to have more cap space as the cap goes up this year. So the Clippers are already going to have some room. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to come to the Lakers because I just don't see that. But if he does go somewhere, he wants to go somewhere that he's got a legit shot. Now, he's not going to bandwagon and go to Golden State. I doubt I think it's 3 choices. It's Cleveland, Miami, or the Clippers. And those are the only 3 that make sense for his legacy. If he wants another title, because he's trying to smile and play face-to-face with everybody and kiss babies and all that and get the people on his side, but he wants another title. He needs that. He craves that. And Miami,
what is he? He's 2-4?
I believe so, yeah. Went to 5 straight, 2-4. And, yeah, it's nice to get there, but it's a hell of a lot nicer to win. And, everyone says, oh, well, he's been to as many finals as Kobe at this point in his career. Yeah, but Kobe had already won 4. Kobe's got 5 already.
He's got 5, yep.
So there's, it's one thing to get there, but it's a big, big difference when you're losing and when you're not winning. And yeah, you got a lot of second place trophies, but those don't shine the same way. So that's where I
want to switch gears a little bit. All right, so that's where you see LeBron, and trust me, you and I are going to be talking plenty about that. Let's get a little music interlude. You got some music available?
Well, let's see what we got here.
We get any good for like Friday night music?
Little school hip hop.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah.
So we talked a little about the disaster that is Cleveland, and I want to switch to the other disaster that is Cleveland and talk about the Browns.
Oh, those guys.
Because this team is just a disaster. They have gotten rid of Alex Mack, who is a stud on the offensive line. They also got rid of Mitchell Schwartz, who's a lineman, Travis Benjamin, who's whatever, fine, but safety Gibson, and more importantly, they don't have a quarterback, right? So they're in discussions on Kaepernick. They're in discussions on this, that, or the other thing. And don't forget, like, they've already lost players over the last years, and they're not bringing anybody in. It's like they're collecting compensation picks. Now, if you're Ozzie Newsome in the Ravens, that's a good idea because you turn your compensation picks into star players, into big-time guys who can flat-out play, and they fill that 53-man roster with compensation picks, and those guys are in their 30 to 40 range, right? Those aren't the 50 to 53 guy on the roster for Baltimore. Those are the, first and second backups, the occasional star, a much-needed lineman. That's division rival the Ravens. But Cleveland has an attorney running the show, a guy from the baseball world who, look, whatever you think of Paul DePodesta, if you've been in L.A., you have your thoughts. He's a brilliant guy. right? At the end of the day, he's a brilliant mind.
Yes.
But the organization is in disarray, and I'm not sure that just having a brilliant mind and a lawyer, there's no football people there. There's no football people.
No.
And so you're letting everybody walk. I don't know what the plan is.
They're trying to run the football organization from what seems to be from an accounting angle. They're trying to cut money for whatever reason. I don't know how profitable they are. I know the rest of the NFL is printing money. So they get profit sharing in that, don't they?
Yep.
The teams that are supposedly losing. That being said, you look at what are you putting out on the field? The Johnny Manziel thing was a disaster that everyone saw coming, but Cleveland apparently. And now you have this team that you had some solid pieces, and now you're letting them walk because you want to blow the whole thing up. Well, okay, so how much longer do you want your team to be in the tank, and do you want them to pretty much be the laughingstock of the league? Some of the guys that they have left on this team are, if they're not asking questions, looking at the guy next to them, they're looking at him like, okay, who are you? And probably not going to see you next year, or what are you doing in your spare time when you're not here? Because these guys are clearly not thinking about football.
It's interesting you say that. A couple hours ago, this article came out on NBC's Pro Football Talk. Browns fans are confused by what the team is doing or not doing in free agency. They're not alone. Per league source, Browns players also don't know what's going on in Cleveland. So you've got guys in the locker room who are going, the hell is happening? You know, are we going to actually have a team that we can play on? Are we going to be competitive? They took, you know, and I am a believer that there isn't a college football team alive that could beat a pro football team. No matter how good you are, you know, you still have kids who wouldn't sniff a combine on your team. And these are all guys who played in the league. But that said, I want to read you this poll. According to 57, they took a poll, the public policy polling, and they said who would win a game between the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Cleveland Browns. According to the poll, 57% of Ohio residents think the Buckeyes would win, which is 23% saying the Browns would win. Okay, again, ridiculous.
I agree.
But what does that tell you about the way people are thinking in Cleveland?
I have to agree. Because
Whoa. You agree with me that it's ridiculous, or you agree that Ohio State would win?
I agree both. I do believe it's ridiculous, but I think Ohio State would have a shot. Dude, it's not just the players on the field, but it's the coaching. Their coaching has been horrendous. Have you seen?
Yep.
When was the last time you actually watched a full 4 quarters of a Cleveland game? You haven't. Nobody has. It's that bad.
Yeah, it's ugly.
It's that bad. It's like watching Ishtar. Dude, it's. I don't think it's so much the talent there. I think a lot of it is the coaching. Cleveland is becoming the clone to the Washington Redskins. I mean, it's amazing to me how many of these NFL teams are just a joke now. I mean, we're around the same age. I remember when Cleveland Browns used to be a powerhouse.
Yeah, they were called the Baltimore Ravens at that point.
Well, no, even when they were the original dog pound.
Back in the Kozar days.
Bernie Kosar.
Play.
You had Webster Slaughter. You had, and a lot of these guys aren't necessarily Hall of Fame names, but they were solid NFL players. How many solid NFL players can you really look on that look on their roster right now that are still there? On a 53-man roster, they've probably got 5 that are still there, that are solid up and down the line. That guys that are pros that have played in this league.
Well, obviously you got Joe Thomas, who, by the way, I can't believe he's still there.
Yeah,
I simply cannot believe that they haven't, traded him forever. I mean, and there isn't a team in the late first round, at least I don't think so, who's in need of a left tackle that wouldn't say, okay, we'll give you our first rounder straight up for Joe Thomas. Because Joe Thomas, even no matter how long he's been in the league, and this will be his 10th season, he's so effortless. He's got 5 more years. If I told you as a contending team that I will give you 5 years of a starting left tackle who will play every down for the next 5 years. You'd give up a number one for that, the 28th, 29th, 30th pick, wouldn't you?
Put him on New England. I mean, you don't think that they get to the Super Bowl? You think you would have helped them in that playoff game?
So you were talking about legitimate players who are legitimate NFL guys, and I think you've got. I'm perusing the roster. Obviously, Joe Thomas stands out more than anybody else. Barkevious Mingo, I'd argue, is a solid NFL linebacker. Not amazing, but totally solid. They've got like some real been around too long guys. Josh McCown, been around too long. Andy Lee is a punter. It doesn't matter how long he's been around. Let's
look at skill position, like receivers. Run down their list of receivers.
All right, so you're looking at, believe it or not, Dwayne Bowe is somehow still on the team, which is, sadly embarrassing. Yeah. Brian Hartline, Andrew Hawkins, two more guys I've never heard of, and neither of you. Marlon Moore, who somehow has played in the NFL for 7 years, and I'm not sure has a catch. And Terrell Pryor, who's really a quarterback.
Terrell Pryor still in the league? Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And of course, Josh Gordon, who
is he going to be there?
If they can get anything for him for a trade, they should do it immediately. Assuming he can even get. Now, I happen to believe that if you can get anything for Josh Gordon, you take it. And I think Josh Gordon still has a lot to offer.
Yeah.
That last pass to me was a little questionable. I wasn't so down with how that all broke out. But he'll, at some point he'll be back. I don't think he's Justin Blackmon. I don't think he's a hopeless case. But even then, there's just no talent there. Yeah. It's just a roster void of talent.
Well, and you can't get it's the same problem that a lot of the other leagues, the small market areas that they have. It's really hard to get a free agent to want to go and sign a contract to go to Cleveland because it's ugly 300 days out of the year. It's it doesn't have the allure of your Florida teams, your Texas, your California, even your Arizona, where you've got some sunshine, it's a decent place to live, and it's it's a sexy name. Cleveland's not sexy, dude. That's cold. When I think of Cleveland, I'm like, brr, I got to start the car up 10 minutes before I go to practice. They don't want to deal with that, dude.
Right.
So, and they're not, and the thing is, they're not breaking the bank to pay anybody either. So,
yeah. That's what's so interesting. Speaking of pay, about the NFL, free agency opened this week, and Jacksonville and Oakland had to spend. They were under the salary floor, under the collective bargaining agreement. They had to spend, and they have both done a really nice job. I'm going to pull up here. Give me 1 second. I had it up before, but the 2016 free agent tracker. There's been a lot of really good, teams that are players that some smart moves have made. I don't like the Giants' moves, but I really like Jacksonville signing Malik Jackson. I thought it was a great move. I thought that Alex Mack going to, we just talked about him leaving Cleveland. I thought that was a great deal for Atlanta.
What do you think about Matt Forte to the Jets?
I think that's a great move. A lot of people are there's this whole anti-running back over 30 thing, right? And I get when you take a lot of hits, you usually go. But that's not Forte's game.
No.
He's a 100 reception guy, right? Mm-hmm. So just as often as he's going to run in the hole, he's going to be out on the flank, catch a little flare pass, boom, he's out of bounds 8 yards later. There's a lot of tread on those tires. And if you don't have a quarterback, and right now the Jets don't. I mean, they literally don't have a quarterback, right? Fitzpatrick isn't signed, and he and the Jets are a wide way away. And I'd argue he's the best option they've got. Yeah. Right? Geno Smith is not an NFL quarterback. If Geno Smith was an NFL quarterback, he'd have been an NFL quarterback.
Okay, well, right? But Ryan Fitzpatrick is your quarterback at what cost? At what price? Because I think that's what a lot of teams are looking at right now. Because do you pay? Is he worth $17 million, a la 10. Brock Osweiler? Is he worth $10 million?
10 with incentives.
10 with incentives.
Absolutely.
Okay.
If Chase Daniel can get $7 million from the Eagles to be a backup, and in the competition to discuss. Dude, that's the football situation now. Mark Sanchez is getting $4.5 million this year. He was just sent to Denver, and Denver got a deal.
Yeah.
The state of quarterbacking is so bad in the NFL right now that if you can get a half-decent backup, a guy who you can trust can go, call it 3-2 in a 5-game span, that's a $4 million player. So if Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to be a guy who can lead a defensive first team to a 10-6 record or an 11-5 record, that's a $10 million guy. And don't forget, the salary cap is going way up, right? So it's not like you're stuck at this $126 million and you're saying, oh, I've got to give 10% of it or 12% of it to one guy. It's going to be $155 million. You're now dropping to 8% for your quarterback.
You know what? I'm really mad that neither one of us decided to play quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I'm 6'1", so I'm about and I don't have Drew Brees' accuracy, so I'm about 5 inches short, and the only way you can be as slow as I am and play quarterback is to be like 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah, and I mean I'm bigger than Doug Flutie and not quite as big as Dante Culpepper, but unfortunately I can't throw the ball more than 30 yards with accuracy. So, but I can hit. I can hit some guys.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, there's been some good moves. I really like the Danny Trevathan move to Chicago to reunite with John Fox. I think he'll do exceptionally well there. I actually like this Chris Ivory signing in Jacksonville. They needed somebody who could run hard. They have had no running game, and they need somebody to take pressure off Bortles, somebody who can grind out 2 yards on 3rd and 2 or, 4 yards, on 1st and 10 to make it reasonable and put those guys in short situations. Look, Blake Bortles did a really nice job last year. If you look at the numbers, did he throw too many interceptions? Absolutely. But you know what? That's growing. And he's going to cut down on those. And you give him a guy he can hand off to that isn't going to get stuffed behind the line.
Yeah.
Their running game last year wasn't good. They had one, Toby Gerhardt's useless, and Denard Robinson can run, outside some.
But he's too small.
Right. Every time he gets the ball, you know where he's going. So if he beats you in a foot race, he'll pick you up some yards. But he's not going to be in a situation where he's going to go, right into the gap and grind you out 3-4 yards. And Chris Ivory, God, most certainly will do that.
Now, I have a question for you. What do you think about the whole Colin Kaepernick thing, and what do you think about the rumblings that San Francisco is considering picking up Manziel if they do lose Kaepernick?
I don't understand the Manziel thing because first off, he's facing a likely criminal situation and he's going to be likely on trials, right? So that's an issue to begin with. I don't understand the concept of going after a guy who has proven that he's not willing to work hard, that he is selfish, and that he has a problem, right? Like I am one of those people that believes alcoholism is a real problem. I don't think he's just out partying, and I don't think it's something that just goes away with maturity. This is an addiction, and he needs to get that taken care of. And pretending to go to rehab for 2 weeks ain't going to do it. That's just not enough.
Needs a lifestyle change.
So he needs a lifestyle change. He needs to get out of Cleveland. That was never a fit. And now he's going to definitely be out of Cleveland. If I'm Chip Kelly and I'm coming off a disaster of a year with the Eagles, right, where I handpicked my quarterback for my system, I traded away my starting quarterback and a second-round pick for him, and then I don't make the playoffs, I get booted, and the Eagles move ahead and get rid of every signing I did. If I'm Trent Baalke and Chip Kelly, I don't bring in Johnny Manziel. There are too many issues. And by the way, you're trying to get rid of right now a running quarterback who doesn't work hard enough. So why are you bringing in a running quarterback who doesn't work hard enough?
Supposedly it's because, he's trying to find a system quarterback. Now, to me, if you're going to lose Kaepernick, to me, the natural guy that you would look at would be RG3. I think RG3 still has something left in the tank.
I agree with you. I think
the guy basically redshirted a year, gave him time to get healthy. Dude was gun shy because he was getting blasted every time he was running the read option in Washington after his first year.
Yeah.
I don't understand Kaepernick wanting to go to Cleveland. To me, Kaepernick's in the best possible situation he could be in because to me, really, the next step from here for Kaepernick is he's going to get cut because this is a tailor-made situation for you. This guy is coming in. He's running an offense that was based off of what your strengths are. Now, if they can build the rest of the team up and get him some more weapons, some guys that can actually catch the ball, besides Anquan Bolden, some guys that can actually beat someone off the line. that might help them build their defense back up. San Francisco, they're not that far away. They're not in a place like Cleveland. If Kaepernick goes to Cleveland, he would regret it as soon as he got there. And I don't think.
Well, I don't know that I agree with you, and the only reason why is because Hugh Jackson is a very good coach, right? And I think Kaepernick is looking for that Jim Harbaugh again. That no nonsense. This guy is in control because Kaepernick played well under Harbaugh before all the infighting happened in San Francisco. Look, led him to a Super Bowl, had him deep in the playoffs a couple times. Was the future. Then Harbaugh and the front office can't get along. That they start fighting. That goes downhill in a hurry. And Kaepernick needs somebody to keep on his neck the entire time because he's not going to work hard without it. And that's the issue I have, by the way, with RG3. You keep bringing in these guys that don't work hard. You know, you hear of guys. One of the reasons Mike Shanahan was so certain that Kirk Cousins was going to be what he was is because he worked his ass off. And you talk to people about who the great quarterbacks are, they all work their asses off. Manziel doesn't. RG3 doesn't.
Well,
Kaepernick doesn't. And I'm not saying Kaepernick can't, because of the three of them, he's the one I have the most faith in to do so when the time comes.
Mm-hmm.
But
with RG3 and Kaepernick, to me, are two different situations. RG3, I think he could have worked harder, but I still look at it was a toxic situation there in Washington, a square peg in a round hole kind of thing. Because after Shanahan left and basically ran the dude into the ground, and when Gruden got there, Gruden didn't want him at all, and they tried to unfortunately they tried to change him into something that he wasn't, which is the same thing that Frisco did last year with Kaepernick. These guys are mobile quarterbacks. You go with what their strengths are. Don't try to turn them into a pocket passer if that's not what their thing is. Kaepernick can stay in there and he can sling it, but that's not what his strength is. His strength is being able to escape out of the pocket and be able to move the chains.
Right, but that's exactly why he doesn't necessarily fit in Chip Kelly's offense, right? Because the one thing Chip Kelly needs, and he does need that runner, and he needs that motion off, but he needs accuracy.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
he needs accuracy.
But Kaepernick has been before. See, for me, it's hard when I see a guy do something before. I can't think that it's not possible again. I just really do think that it's been a system and the things that they ran, because they went away from everything that was successful for them, and you saw where it went. Everything just went further and further down the toilet. The guy went to the Super Bowl. It's not like.
So I just want to come out here real quickly and support what you're saying here. So Kaepernick's completion percentage in 2012 is really first year as a starter, 62, 58 in 2013, and 60 in 2014. And last year, I'm not really counting. He's 60 again, or 59. But you know, so it's reasonable. But you know, you really need to be in a Chip Kelly offense at that 65 range.
Yeah, and to me, the main thing for the Chip Kelly offense, you gotta have a guy. You gotta have those quick kind of scat backs that can escape, and you gotta have a front line that's doing something. Philly's front line was horrible. And
awful. Well, that was the Chip Kelly problem. He got rid of two really good guards and then pissed off his center. And then Jason Peters was hurt, every third play. I want to just stay on this topic real quickly, though, because I do want to look at RG3's numbers, right? Because here is in Washington with a coach he can't get along with, in an offense that is not suited for him, and he completes 66%, 60%, and 69%. I think if somehow San Francisco can send Kaepernick somewhere else, get call it a third and a sixth, if you can even get that, or a conditional fourth, fifth combo, right? And then they can pull the trigger and sign RG3. I think RG3 is a much better fit for Chip Kelly's offense than Kaepernick is.
Yeah, I could see RG3 going there and being successful. To me, I think the biggest thing was RG3's confidence in the injury in his knee. Because anybody that blows a knee out and you get surgery and you come back, you're never going to, they say that you're ready to play and you're healed up, but in your mind, are you completely healed? And I think that you were watching a guy that was really tentative out there, and every time he made a play, he second guessed it because of his knee. The guy basically just stopped running the ball. Before that, he was a running machine. He was always an option to get you between 4 to 8 yards. After the knee injury, the guy, what do he average? Maybe a yard and a half, 2 yards per carry, and probably less than 30 carries a year. So I think a lot of his confidence and the system and just the injury, I think that was a lot of RG3's issues. To me, he's definitely somebody you got to bring in, just at least take a look at the guy, because there's no way that you go from being a stud like that in college, a Heisman winner, coming in wrecking the league in the first year, and then you get injured, and then now all of a sudden you can't play anymore. Now I understand that there were some issues and difficulties with the playbook that they ran in Washington, and they had to change the offense a little bit to kind of appease the stuff that he did at Baylor, what he was more comfortable with. But man, if you're gonna have a quarterback, the guy that's running the show, I would think that you want to tailor your offense to what he's best at, not this.
But not all coaches do that, and Chip Kelly's certainly not going to.
And that's the problem. The smart coaches do that. So you can be one of the other coaches, or you can be a smart coach. Now, Chip Kelly has to have a come to Jesus moment with himself and realize that this is it, dude. Because you gotta show and prove right here. So you gotta bend a little bit on some stuff that you like to do and your mentality, because clearly you ran the whole show in Philly and you ran that show into the ground. And
that was the thing. It got to the point where you were sitting at home watching the plays, and you're like, so you put the quarterback in, under center, and your running back goes 7 yards, 8 yards, 9 yards, 7 yards, 7 yards. So what do you do on the next series? You drop the quarterback into shotgun. The running back goes 2 yards, 1 yard, -4, -3, 1 yard, and you come out the third series and run out of the shotgun again.
Yeah,
there was no adjustment. Everybody knew what they were doing. Look, we're here on the Fanzeal Sports Week in Review. There's one topic that we really have to get to, and we're going to talk plenty of football. We're going to talk all kinds of stuff, the draft coming up, NFL free agency. But we are about 3 weeks away from the start of the Major League Baseball season, and Brandon and I are big, big baseball nuts. My fantasy draft is in 2.5 weeks. I have already started my research and my crib notes. I have checked with my buddy, Pat Fitzmaurice, who, if you're a fantasy fan, you know, writes for a bunch of these different fantasy columns. He's out of Chicago, and he and I have been comparing notes, and we're in a 2-keeper league, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep Mike Trout, which is the least questionable thing ever done, because if you have him, you don't lose him for 10 years. But I actually think I'm going to keep Manny Machado too. I think the kid is going to be a superstar, and it's worth a gamble with my second keeper. But as long as we're talking about these guys and players with some flair, and neither one of those guys goes crazy, but when you watch Manny Machado play third base, you want to stand up and cheer. Something came out this week, and this is going to come out, I don't know, it seems like every 10 days. Some old-timer or somebody believes there's unwritten rules. Matt Williams school of it's ridiculous. And Bryce Harper came out. I got to tell you, I was not a big Bryce Harper fan early on. I think the arrogance, the brashness, it rubbed me the wrong way. And I always said, look, he's 19, he's 20, he's 21. But this last season, I think that not only did he mature a little, but I think his arrogance caught up with his age, if that makes sense. It's like he's earned the arrogance now. And so I don't mind it. And it's not even confidence. It's arrogance. And I'm good with it. You're that good, be arrogant. I don't care. But he said that baseball is boring, in essence, and that because they won't allow people to have flair and they won't allow people to have fun, that the game sucks. And in response to that, Goose Gossage, the Hall of Fame reliever, comes out. And I've met Goose on a couple occasions. Interesting guy.
Goose is a man of the
But Goose Gossage, yes, he is. We were at a big golf event with him. And I felt testosterone walking by as he went. He was not far from Marky Mark, and in the grand scheme of A Tale of Two Cities, one looked like a man and the other was Marky Mark. But
don't forget the stash.
Yeah, there you go, all the way down there.
Oh, dude, Hulk Hogan is so jealous.
and Goose said the game is for pussies now. You can't throw inside. You can't hit somebody. You can't. And he was really angry at Joey Bats up in Toronto for last year's bat flip, which, by the way, was the best moment of the season for me. It was the ultimate FU moment. It was the ultimate, this is my team and my town. And it was great. Bryce Harper comes out and says, "This is what we need." Joey Bat says, "This is what we need." Josh Donaldson, Batista's teammate, comes out and says, "I'm with him." Goose Gossage, Matt Williams, the other guys say, there are unwritten rules and we should be, quiet. I think you got two things going here. I think you got underlying racism against Latin ball players. Because if you ever went and watched the series and the games in Mexico and Brazil, the Dominican, and the Caribbean series, it's a nonstop party. People don't sit down. It's almost like soccer in Europe. They are partying, they're dancing, there's music. It's fun. It's fun. And I think that baseball keeps trying to shorten the game. And what they ought to do is try to find a way to make it more fun. And louder music in the stadium isn't the answer.
Yes. Baseball, to me, they've been trying to hold on to too much tradition for too long. The game is evolving. We are not in the old days of Babe Ruth and the guys with the old slow tie cob wind up, and it's not that day anymore. Today's athlete is very different. Now, as someone who has been accused and kind of known to kind of prance a bit on the field and do a bat flip or two here and there.
Yeah, I've seen it, by the way. For those of you who haven't seen it, I've actually seen a little bit of the Boykin prancing, and it is there's some tune with it.
Yeah, thank you. I got a little soul stroll. The game has swagger, and I hate that word. But that is the only word that the young people and the old people can both understand and where it's relatable. The game has attitude now. In wrestling, they used to call it the Attitude Era. The NBA, you went from the short shorts with John Stockton and Karl Malone to Jordan with the long shorts. Iverson had the cornrows.
Well, wait, I want to stop you. I do want to give credit with the long shorts. If you're going to bring them up, you got to give credit to the Fab Five.
Oh,
right. Yeah. Those guys started, so just a little credit to those guys. Keep going with what you do.
Really, in my full estimation, it was three. There were three, maybe four components that brought all of that about. There was Michael Jordan.
Yep.
There was UNLV, the Fab Five, then Allen Iverson.
What about John Sally's penis hanging out the bottom of his shorts because they were so small?
Well, that's why Joey Crawford had to retire today because he tripped on it. But
okay, back to see what happens when you get 15 minutes into an hour-long show. You end up John Sally's penis is a top.
Yeah, but
so the short and go ahead. You were talking about baseball and swag.
Yeah, they need that because see, baseball has one major challenge that the other sports really don't have. A baseball game is what, 4 hours?
Whatever. Can be.
Okay, when you go to a baseball game, how many times have you taken a nap or caught yourself dozing off? Oh yeah, I missed this half of the inning or what have you. It happens. A hot summer day, you're with your girl, you have a beer, you're in the heat, you're right in the sun. Yankees are at the ballpark, Dodgers, whoever. That's the way it is. It's just not a nonstop bang, bang, bang sport. So the attitude and the braggadocio, the swagger, it has to come out because this is unlike the NFL. Baseball, people can see you, just like the NBA. Why the NBA has individual stars? Because people can see you. They can relate to you. The baseball fans want to have someone to relate to. I am a big fan of Bryce Harper and the little head dip after the home run. And, dude, if I had locks like that, I would do that every time. And I would have no problem with it.
What do you mean? I do have locks like that.
Oh, down a little bit, a little bit.
Wait. I see. Yeah, okay, never mind.
But, dude, it's the bat flip. It's the guys making a ridiculous catch. Those are the things that get the baseball fans out of their seats. Those are the things that sell jerseys, hats, merchandise, things of that nature. Just go to the ballpark in a ho-hum 3-2 game. For the old school baseball purists, that might be okay. But the guys now, the guys are bigger, faster, they're younger. People, we're in the age of now. Don't tell me something that you can do for me in an hour. Give me an app that I can do it, that I can get it in now. So people want their attitude. They want that energy. They want that swagger. They want the dude that they can say, you know what? I can't stand that dude because he's a great athlete. And he kills my team every time. Joey Bats comes up. You got your number one pitcher out there, and this dude just cracked 3 home runs the last time he played you guys. If it's my team, if he's not throwing the high heat side on that dude for a little chin check, I'm gonna be a little upset because I know in the days that we grew up watching baseball, that was common sense. Not to hurt anybody, but it's establishing who's the alpha male here. You can be one of the guys or you can be the guy. Now, the pitcher always wants to be the guy. Joey Bats, he's the guy on his team.
He is most definitely the guy.
It's mano y mano. We're going to both stand in here eye to eye. And as one of my favorite quotes, but one of my most favorite people, Mike Tyson, his arrogance offended my arrogance. So that's why I went at him. And that's why I did what I did. That's why I put on a show. So, yeah, Major League Baseball, it needs it. We need characters because a lot of our big stars, the studs, are retiring or they're getting old. Dude, Big Papi's going to be gone this year. This is last year. He's probably one of the biggest characters, stars on the East Coast that we really have. He's the only guy, one of the only guys that's willing to wear the black hat and be the bad guy. And he doesn't care. He gets the blues whenever he goes to Baltimore or wherever to play. But it fuels him on. Guys like Kobe Bryant, that's why Kobe is great. A lot of people, either you love Kobe or you hate him. But he's a star because he wears the black hat and take that anger and that venom and it feeds him. And that's what makes you a great player. All these guys now, let's go out and just throw the ball around. Dude, get out of here with that. Let's play some ball. If you can hit. The guys that are upset because Joey Bats is doing the bat flip and all that, you know why they're pissed off? Because they can't do it. Guys that can do it, they're like, yeah, that was pretty cool. The right time, the right place. Dude, he set the stage. And he did what anybody else that can do it and crack a home run like that, you would have done the same thing, dude.
Absolutely. Well, and that's the thing, right? It's got to be Bryce Harper because it's most certainly not going to be Mike Trout. And Manny Machado, great young player, doesn't have whatever that is, right?
Mike Trout just doesn't too much Wonder Bread. See, Bryce Harper. Yeah. Bryce Harper is the flatbread, the artisan flatbread, and Mike Trout is the Wonder Bread.
Yeah, for sure.
There you go.
Well, it's going to be a very interesting season. I'm very much looking forward to it. I know that you and I are going to catch some games this year, and we're going to talk about it plenty. Before we go, and we're going to wrap up here, thanks everybody for joining us on the Fanzeal Sports Week in Review. Remember, you can shoot us your questions at Fanzeal on Twitter. Go to fanzeal.com, sign up every Monday morning, the funniest newsletter in sports. We've recently cut a deal with another site who shall remain nameless until you get the newsletter. But there are some professional comedy writers coming in and really going to add their flair and fun to that newsletter. We offer exclusive goods. And there's just a lot of fun stuff going on. It's a great sports startup. Brandon Boykin and I are very happy to be part of it. So before we leave, Brandon, what is your best sports moment of the week? Or I'll give you one more. Or thing you are most looking forward to in the week ahead.
That's a pretty tough one. I think I gotta go with and I guess is really last week, but the whole UFC weekend. The Diaz McGregor fight and Miesha Tate Holly Holm. To me, that was really good showing for UFC. It's going to be interesting to see where they go from here. Peyton Manning retiring was a big story this week. And also the Lakers. The youngins are looking good, man. I know it's a lot of people out there that were hating that they were calling D'Angelo Russell a bust. The kid is putting up some ridiculous numbers.
With some terrible coaching. Terrible.
You know what? I'm starting to kind of lean the other way on the coaching because I know I've talked to you ad nauseum about how bad Byron's coaching is. Maybe Byron had an epiphany or something, or I'm giving him credit for something that he should get credit for. But since he's supposedly let the reins loose on the kids, they played some pretty knockdown, drag-out basketball. dude, have you watched any of these games with Russell? I mean, I'm not calling him Steph Curry or anything quite yet, but the kid is showing some game, and I mean it's definitely looking good. Looking up for Laker fans. I mean, him, Clarkson, Julius Randle's a double machine. Roy Hibbert. Well, I think this is going to be the end of Slow Roy this year because that dude. I've actually found someone slower than the two of us in our favorite catcher on our softball team. But the guy wears like a size 22 shoe, so give him a bit.
Right.
What about you, sir? What's your favorite story?
I think that a couple things. One, I think you're crazy about Byron Scott. But I think for me, I think he's just a bad coach. But you know what? I want the Lakers to win. I grew up a Philadelphia 76ers fan. I can't claim to be anymore. But again, they got that protected top 3 pick. And if it falls to number 4, Sixers are all of a sudden sitting pretty. So the Lakers can win all they want.
Yeah, but
I think what I'm most looking forward to.
All Philly's going to do is draft another big man that they can't play.
Well, did you see that Okafor is now going in for surgery and he'll be out 6 to 10, and they're calling the season, which is probably fine. And who knows what's going to happen with Joel Embiid and there were rumors that they could trade Noel. God knows they need a backcourt and a shooter. But here's what I'm looking forward to this week. This is the Spurs schedule for the upcoming week: hosting the Thunder, hosting the Clippers, hosting the Trailblazers, and hosting the Warriors next Saturday. That is a gruesome foursome with, fortunately, no back-to-backs, all home games. I really want to see them. I love watching the Spurs play. I think they're obviously they're a great team. That's ridiculous to even say that. But I think those 4 teams are the teams that they're going to have to beat in the playoffs if they want to be back and have a real shot at the championship. And by the way, I think they can go 4-0.
Yes.
At home, without a back-to-back, this team can go 4-0. Because if they're smart and they find a way to get really and blow out the Trailblazers, they'll rest their guys for the fourth quarter, and that's like having just that little bit of extra rest, against Golden State. So that is what I am looking forward to, my man. Another great show with you. Make sure you go to Fanzeal.com. It has been a pleasure. We will see everybody next week here on Blab. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you then.